Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Self Help Show. I am your host, Gina, and thank you for tuning in. You know, this is the home for everything self related from self love, self care, self improvement, self empowerment, self healing, all things self. And I did promise we were going to bring some experts on the show. This is going to be mostly people that are, some people that they're famous, celebrities, role models. And today we have the privilege to speak to Ian Keller. He is the artist in question, and he has this amazing project called Orphan Prodigy. He is a Queens-born multi-instrumentalist and a songwriter, and I'm gonna hand over to him so he can introduce himself. So over to you, Ian.
Well, thank you for having me on your show, Gina. I appreciate it. Yeah, so my name's Ian, and I've been doing music since I was, 12 years old. It's 10 years old, actually. I got my first guitar at 10. And I started pretty young in the business. I was fortunate enough to know some kind of, high level players, I guess. And actually, I don't want to really name drop, but I
You can feel free. You can.
so we were fortunate enough back in the day. I started a band when I was in junior high school with my two childhood friends, and the manager of Metallica and Rage Against the Machine, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Amazing.
Yeah, he actually, we were friends with his kids in the park, and so our parents kind of knew each other and stuff, and he knew we had a rock band, and so he came over, watched us play, and he was, I guess he was impressed enough to pay for our first demo. So he sent
Okay.
us to some studio in Long Island, which is not too far away from where we grew up. And we recorded something, and nothing really came out of it, per se. We didn't like skyrocket to like, Metallica status, obviously. But
Yeah.
it was nice to have that, we talk about rejection and we talk about acceptance, and to have that validation. And looking back, I never really processed that. I don't really think I took stock of that at the time when I was a kid. I was only 13 years old or 14 years old at the time we made that recording. But, it's a dream, really, to have that kind of privilege. And I think, we really didn't want to take it for granted. We knew that it was very important and we wanted to do a good job, but we just didn't have the professional chops. I mean, throwing a 13, 14-year-old, band into the studio,
Mhm.
13, 14-year-old guys, it's, we were just learning how to play at that time. And, we didn't have much experience, but it was after that point that we really started to like knuckle down, go on the road. We made our first EP around that time. Did a lot of touring nationally. And then in 2015, we made our first full length album.
Okay.
Um, and then in 2019, we made our second full length album. And at that point, I actually went through an agoraphobic phase, where I couldn't leave my apartment.
Mm.
And we were supposed to like make this album, and I couldn't go to the studio because I couldn't leave my apartment. And so, I ended up having to like sing, like do this, like, kind of set up a mic, have a laptop, send some files back to the studio. They'd send it back with a mix, and I'd say like, yeah, it's good or bad. So that second album ended up being kind of like a hodgepodge of, material. And it was really uncomfortable. But I was really lucky because my parents have always been really supportive of my decision to be a musician. I'm very fortunate to my parents, Mike and Bob, my two dads out there.
Today, we are talking about rejection within the entertainment industry. You have been doing this since you were 10 years old, Ian. That's such a long time. How old are you now?
Too old.
Too old.
I'm in my 30s now.
Okay, great.
It's been a long ride.
So it's almost what, 3 decades or 2 decades?
2 decades.
Yeah,
No,
right.
three.
Oh my gosh. I skipped the maths class. 2 decades. Okay, awesome. So, what that means is for the last 2 decades, you've been in the entertainment industry. So, I kind of want to hear two sides of your story: the rejection of you just trying to be in the industry and making it, and then the rejection of you learning to say no to certain things that didn't serve you. So, yeah, over to you.
Yeah. So, I mean, going back to being able to do a recording, a demo that was, put forth by the manager of Metallica, the Chili Peppers, Rage Against the Machine. These are big bands, and so these were
Yes.
the bands that I grew up listening to. So to have that, I think it was just kind of surreal to have that
Mm,
experience.
hmm.
But that really, I think, gave us a lot of. I didn't really know it at the time, but I think I'm sure in some ways it gave me a lot of confidence to, pursue this as a career. And, yeah, so we, like I said, we toured. I don't know how much of this is redundant, but we toured for a long time, made two records over 2 decades, and then in 2018 going into 2019, I hit an agoric phase in my life where I wasn't able to leave my apartment, and I just couldn't. It was unbearable. Like I couldn't go grocery shopping. I couldn't. I was my family got involved. My two wonderful parents saw that I was struggling. They kind of They told me it was. They felt like it was because I was stretching myself too thin. This was at a time where we were signed by an indie label at the time, so we kind of played every show we could. We
Mm,
didn't make a whole lot of money, so in order to kind of make enough to make ends meet and pay the bills, we had to tour a lot and do a lot of shows. I had to play by myself, do acoustic shows, so a lot of that. And I think my parents kind of said, like, it was too much for you. They were able to find a facility that was able to specialize in the treatment of panic disorder, which is ultimately what it came down to me having.
I
So
see.
yeah, I am diagnosed with panic disorder now, and the therapy was called exposure therapy, and it was a team of therapists, two really great therapists who put me in places like the mall where I could easily feel rejection,
Okay.
like really exposed, and just like, in large places with a lot of people at once. And so it was really tough. It was really tough. One of the toughest things I've done in my life, because ultimately the goal was to change the perception and kind of the theory was if you overexpose yourself to this enough times, you will become kind of it won't feel as powerful. It won't feel as you'll become desensitized to it essentially. So 6 months later, I felt better. I felt great. I had just met my then girlfriend who was going to be my wife years later. So I was right. I was feeling really great. I felt, that was a really big moment to, have somebody kind of who, kind of fall in love with you and love you the same way that you love them. That was a very light switch moment for me personally, because I've always felt pretty rejected, I guess, or pretty insecure about my ability, just my abilities to be social and forget relationships, but
Yeah.
just be be attractive or be whatever it is. I've never really thought of myself that way at all ever. So it was really validating to have that experience, and I had to rethink where I was in the industry at that point. Instead of performing, I felt like I should take a step back and go into engineering and
Yeah.
production.
Okay.
And so I found a school in Arizona, the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences. And there I started learning audio production. And it wasn't like 3 weeks into the program that I started writing again. And that's how Orphan Prodigy was born. During the pandemic, I brought back a bunch of songs,
Yeah.
turned them into what was going to be the album.
Amazing. Rumors are you are climbing off the charts really quickly. And I want to hear it from your mouth. Like, where did you start? Where are you now? And tell us a little bit more about what that song stands for. What is it about, and what can people look forward to?
Yeah, so I had no idea when I wrote this song that it was going to be so, it was going to resonate with so many people the way it has, and I'm humbled by that every day. Truly, 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 it's just, like, and especially for me being, feeling like the rejected outcast most of my life for like, almost 3 decades really. To have people kind of rally behind me and rally and support the song, support the music, and also support each other as a community has really been really just an incredible experience, from afar. And yeah, I mean, we hit 42, 43, 42. I can never remember, but on the charts.
That's
So
amazing.
that was on the media based charts. So that was it's completely unexpected. I think we entered at like 120, something up there.
Okay.
But yeah, totally unexpected, totally
Amazing.
unexpected.
Well, congratulations. I hope you make it all the way to number one.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Tell us a bit more though. Like what is the message within the song? What is it?
Yeah, so initially I had no idea that originally I thought it was about a breakup. I went through a really terrible breakup in high school, and it was a very toxic relationship, and just not a good, not a good thing.
Mm.
And it followed me. That feeling of rejection followed me for 10 years, for my entire for half of my professional career, really. And I never in a lot of ways it drove me to write and continue performing and all that stuff. But I didn't know that. I So initially I thought this song was about this breakup, this particular breakup. But then after we released the record, this Orphan Prodigy record in April, I took a step back and I was like, wait a second. The whole time this song has been about rejection as a whole. It's not about a relationship. It's not as trivial as that. It's not as small as that. It's much more broad and spectacularly broken than that. It really is about rejection, and you can apply it. And I think that's why it resonates with so many people. I think it's because it's not just about, you know, feeling rejected by somebody who doesn't like you. It's about being rejected in the workplace, being rejected for your efforts as a performer, whatever. It could be it could be absolutely anything.
Right. That is so deep. Are you able to? I was gonna ask you if you can play a little bit of it on here, but I figured if you do that, then there's gonna be copyright claims on this video.
Well, what I could do is also with the latency stuff, I could send you a recording of me doing this, and then, as if it was live,
Right.
instead of it'll sound better.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. We can work that out. So this is so interesting. I think the whole concept of rejection, everybody has faced it. Yeah. I think everybody has in life in general, maybe to like a certain degree, especially maybe from your childhood, maybe you were bullied in school. I was bullied in school, so that's a form of rejection, right? Because my aunt was a teacher, so in grade one, the kids would come and bully me because they're like, "Oh, your aunt is a teacher, or you're getting favors, or this and that," and they would take my food. So that was that. Then
Wow,
in middle in middle high school, I was bullied because I was pretty. So
that's a
yeah, like
thing.
it's a thing. So it's
Being
like
being too pretty is oh man, I don't even know what to say. That's
so
crazy.
it's
That's
crazy, right?
wild.
Because some people get bullied for, for being ugly, for being gay, or for being whatever. There's always something. Then in the workplace, I had an experience where I was literally like the youngest, and in the whole company, we had about 60 employees. So we had like three black people. So there was that thing of like, okay, they don't look like us, so we can't invite them to the parties or the cool stuff. So that's also some form of rejection that I faced. But then after that, I really kind of I think it's almost a point where you realize your self-worth, and then you kind of draw the line between wanting that validation from all those people and all those groups and all of those things, and then you kind of stand in your own self-worth, and then you're okay in your own authenticity, whether other people like it or not. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. And you spoke about the bullying in middle high school and high school, and that's horrible, by the way. I don't
Yeah.
understand how
Yeah.
somebody could be bullied for being pretty, but I don't know. But I experienced the same thing. I was bullied for having gay parents and being adopted, in middle school and even in grammar school, K to 6. But yeah, I mean, I even had I remember this, I'll never forget this one time in high school, this kid, and he didn't, I don't even blame him because he was just I think he had just come from like this super, he just wasn't like privy or aware to, anything outside of his family's beliefs. He just kind of looked over at me, sitting next to me in band class, and he's like, your parents are gay, right? And he's like, well, do they like do stuff to you? And I'm like, what?
Oh my
Like,
God.
I was just so stunned. I was just so shocked. And in my mind, I was laughing. I was like, oh my God, is this kid, like, what is he possibly? Anyway, so that always stuck with me because it was just like, wow, there are really people that are that ignorant, I guess. And it's not even their fault really. Sometimes it's just kind of the where we come from, how our
Yeah,
families are. And
mostly.
I don't fault people for that. I do fault people for having the ability to go out and then, later in life and kind of, look, do their own research and make their own
Right.
draw their own conclusions. That is, that is, you could fault people for not doing that when they're
Yeah,
able to. But
that's so true. Especially just being ignorant and staying in the ignorance. That's very dangerous. Yeah.
absolutely. But I always, for me, I always understood, or I always felt like I was an outcast. I always felt like a reject through school, and I kind of thrived on it. And it's that whole, I kind of felt like, you know, well, I'm the lone wolf, and if people want to follow me, they can. If they don't, then they won't.
It's
Um,
their
I,
loss.
that being said, I was super insecure. I was super shy. I was, pretty shy until I turned 30. Um,
Really?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I was when I hit 12 years, I was like pretty outgoing, and then I hit 12 years old, and my parents joke that my
Yeah.
adolescence lasted from about 12 to 30.
No judgment.
No, so Orphan Prodigy's kind of been a really big part of my life in a very positive way.
Right.
It's allowed me to be just confident and 110% be myself. I don't have a label controlling me or a producer telling me what to do or other bandmates kind of in the equation. It's all really just me writing the songs and mixing and just creating.
Yeah.
It's been really like this giant beautiful thing. I don't know.
So you are like a solo creator, is that correct?
Sure. Solo. I
How
guess I'm a solo artist, but we have a band when we do shows. So
Okay, okay. So what that means is your project, you're solo on it or your band is on it as well.
no. So the entire record, that's all the parts that I've written and composed and
Mm,
played
hmm.
myself for the most part, and the rest is electronic stuff. But yeah, it's all me. And then, like I said, when we recreate it live,
With the
there's a
band.
drummer, there's a bass
I love
player,
that.
and
I love
yeah,
that.
and we have
That is so beautiful because I think you get in your element where, you create all of this music, and then when you finally have the supporting crew that actually align and bring this creation into like this big thing, I think that's the most amazing thing ever. Like it's so beautiful.
yeah, it's been great to have the support. People that like when I was making the record, I had found I was trying to put together a band at the same time, which was very difficult, very stressful because it was clear that once the record was out, we were going to have to play shows and go out and do a little touring and stuff.
Right.
So I found these guys. They were super supportive, great people that I've known for a long time, and they've just done a wonderful job at not only playing the parts but also just believing the vision of what I'm trying to do musically and creatively. So it's hard to find that kind of support these days.
True.
Everybody just kind of wants to
Do
do
there.
their own thing and be in the spotlight, and it's easy to forget in a creative environment that it is the group that ultimately people want to see
Yes.
and people can relate to.
100%. 100%. Okay, so we have a few more minutes left. I wanted us to talk about rejection on the other side. So, for example, you have 2 decades of experience. You are a producer, you are a multi instrumentalist, and obviously all of that comes with value, right? So I'm sure you've had experiences where you were paying for exposure. I know this is very big, especially like from my experience from the filmmaking side, and also just trying to be in like different productions. There's always that thing like, oh, this production is not going to pay you, but you'll get the exposure. But then it goes on and on and on and it goes on for years until you decide to
Yeah.
say no, which is the kind of rejection that I kind of want to hear from you. Like, when did you know? When did you wake up and decide, I'm not going to do this? You have to pay me. How did that go for you?
Yeah, so one of my first professional gigs was playing at like an open mic kind of thing.
Hmm.
I was probably probably 21, 20 or 21. And the host realized that we were a really tight band and she wanted to work with us. She kind of made all these promises that didn't really amount to anything. But she wanted to hire us as the backing band for rappers and songwriters and solo artists to come in and sort of perform, and we'd play the backing music.
Okay.
And she would always kind of stiff us at the end of the night. We'd play till like 4 in the morning sometimes, like really crazy. Like we'd start at like 8 o'clock and like go till like
Oh
two,
my
three, four
God.
in the morning. Yeah, and this was in the city, and we're from Queens, so like there's also like a train trip involved.
Yeah. Oh my
We'd
God.
walk away sometimes with under $100, and it was really brutal for for three guys to play for that long. And this is a problem that exists even today. I mean, musicians, in all aspects, creators are underpaid in so many ways.
Mm.
I started to say no with my first manager. He's like our first real manager. He's like, "Why are you playing for free?" After we hadn't even signed a deal yet with him, he was like, "Why are you playing for free? I can get you paid. I can get you paid." And that was the first time, we did a gig. I don't remember exactly that first gig, but we did this gig, and I walked away with $100 in my pocket, and my other two bandmates, they also walked away with $100 in their pocket, and it was a great show. I remember that, and we were just doing what we had always done, and that was the first time that I felt like, wow, I guess we are worth something. Because for like 10 years prior, we were just taking anything we could get. We were
Mm.
professional. We were considered professionals because we'd get paid, technically, but walking away with 50, less than $100 a night is ridiculous for anybody for putting in that many hours. But so yeah, I think I learned to say no when someone else started to believe in me. And
Mm.
I think that's kind of, now that I'm thinking about it, there was a light switch with, meeting my wife, my first manager who, decided my music was worth being paid for to listen to and see.
Yeah.
I think there's a pattern there, that I'm realizing in this conversation with you, that, it took somebody kind of from the outside to come in and say, no, wait a second, hold on, you are worth something. And then I'm like, wait, yeah, light switch. They're right.
Yeah.
So
I'm
it's about
also
support.
I'm also having my moment of thinking the same thing happened to me because, hey, I've done so much work. Oh my God, from the digital marketing to the film creation to even conferences and speaking. And this whole time, I wasn't charging anything until I met this beloved person in my life right now who said to me, you should be charging. Why are you not charging? Why are you doing this for free? I was like, I mean, I'm creating value, I'm providing value, but then yeah, because you're providing value, you have to get paid for it. So all of that is still in the works. So it's very interesting that it's also similar that it had to be something external for you
Exactly.
to realize that no, wait a minute. So what does that mean? I'm so confused now because it's like, are we not aware in our own capacity that we need an external force to tell us? Like, is that it?
Well, I think it's when you're doing something for so long, like even if you, like, let's say you started your career and I started my career and we did that same thing for free for a couple of years. That's a long time to do something, and you set a precedent in your mind, and you set your own worth right there. If you started saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna charge X amount from day one," maybe it would be different. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you and I, we both kind of like we had this idea that we just wanted to create, and that's, I think,
Yeah,
that's
passion.
the passion. The passion takes over, and it just become, and I think that's the mark of a true artist. You don't really care about the money. You just want to create, and you and I think we both share that same
Yes.
passion.
Which kind of answers a very big question if you look at the industry, if you look at the society and even the community. There's a lot of people that do so many things in the name of passion, but they keep doing that and it's actually, I mean, it's a good thing, But it's also heartbreaking because most of those people are some of the poorest people financially, and yet they have supported so many communities. For example, Bob Marley, right? I don't know if you
Yeah.
followed his story. He was
Yeah.
never really interested about the financial side of things, but his music right now is literally making fortunes. And him personally, he was never like, even most of his videos, he speaks about money, he speaks about how he felt really, of which money was like the last thing on his mind. He was more focused about creating value and building communities and helping people heal and helping people wake up like mentally, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, he's a great example. And I think it's for people like you and I and for everybody else out there now creating in 2025 with the digital era and all these things, it's important to kind of split the dip or meet in the middle. It's important to kind of
Yeah,
be passionate and also be
smart.
somewhat of be smart, be
Yeah.
somewhat of an entrepreneur and kind
Yes.
of meet in the middle and set your worth. Set your worth.
Love that. I love that. So, if there is a artist or producer or somebody that's listening and watching this show right now and you're a role model to them, what is the one message, key takeaway message that you can share with them, especially just writing off what you just said? Because it's very important that, people know they need to at least realize that, okay, I have this ability, I can do this, and then now I need to monetize this. I need to recognize my self-worth. What is the message that you can leave them with today?
Well, I think the important thing, and this goes back to what you and I were talking about earlier, is about external kind of validation and worth, right? I
Yeah.
think I would say be the passion, but also find somebody or something that sets that worth for you, that tells you or gives you a model to sort of kind of follow, right? Because you have to be passionate, but you also have to be the business too and understand your worth. So I would say whatever it takes to kind of find that worth and sort of set that precedent in your head about where it is. Yeah, I would say that let's those two things together, you'd be unstoppable.
I love that. That is so good. Are you wearing the famous leather jacket today?
Oh my God, I feel like I'm gonna be a meme or something, man.
No.
And you what you want to know the funny thing is that to this day, All Saints, the brand that makes this, they won't sponsor me. They haven't sponsored me. Um,
Mm.
so All Saints, I've been giving you promotion for over 20 years. Okay, all right,
Wait,
let's
is
work
the
something
same one?
out.
Is the
Yeah,
same one?
this is the same one that my dad gifted to me for Christmas in 2000 and when I was in my first apartment. I didn't have any money. I had just signed an indie deal to make the record.
Yeah.
I couldn't pay for food. I would literally couldn't pay rent. Like my electric would shut off. I
Yeah.
was just yeah. So this was my gift from one of my dads, and I've had it through thick and thin. Literally, this jacket has so many stories in it.
My
So
God, it looks so good. All Saints need to run you your check. Make sure I will either tag them or whatever the case. They need to run you your check because that jacket looks amazing. Like if you
thank
were to
you.
sell it on an auction, I would literally buy it because it's so like it looks great. And also they need to run you your check. I also need a little bit for commission because like what? That's
Yeah, they're really slacking. They have a couple of checks to write, I think.
Yeah, no, they owe you a lot. It looks beautiful. And I think it also says so much about your story, which is just, the resilience and just overcoming the rejection and also being in a space of understanding your self-worth and then creating that bubble to also let stuff bounce out that doesn't serve you any good. So thank you so much for joining us today. I wonder if I can ask you one question.
Sure.
I'm trying to make this like, you come here, you tell us your story, and we also just want to be privy to some of the things that, most people don't really know. So when they hear that, they'll be like, oh, we heard it on the self-help show. So what is that one thing that you can tell us?
All right, I'm going to tell you a story, and this is something I've never said before on
Okay.
in public media.
Love that.
So there's an exclusive.
Yes.
So and it ties into the leather jacket, believe it or not.
Okay.
So when I was young, when I was growing up as a child, my favorite superhero was Superman,
Okay.
and I would watch the show every day. I would, my dad's friends would record him on VHS tapes, and then I'd play him over and over again. One year, and 1 year for Halloween, my parents got me a Superman costume. So I didn't just wear that Superman costume for Halloween. I wore it under my clothes at school, in grammar school. And one day, my parents, I remember this myself, but my
Yeah.
parents always tell this to people. They say, your teacher told us that you pulled her aside and said, and you opened your jacket and said, I have a Superman costume on, you know? So I think the takeaway from that is that I've always felt the need, feeling like an outsider, feeling like an outcast.
Yeah.
I've always needed the armor, right? Because
Mm,
I'm not a biker. I think people mistake leather jackets for like
for
biking,
bikers.
and
Yeah.
I go out with shades on and stuff, and like people think like, oh, maybe
Mm.
he's unapproachable or something. But like I'm
Or the
like an open.
farming.
Right, right. But I'm like an open book, and I'll talk forever. I'll have I love conversing with others, and they call me an extroverted introvert, I guess.
Mm, 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 mm.
But yeah, so it goes back to wearing a power outfit and feeling confident. It just gives you that extra kind of boost to feel like you can take on the world. And for
Okay.
me, as a kid, I knew I needed that. And wearing a Superman costume under my clothes, my normal regular clothes, was a way to sort of feel that same sort of confidence that I needed.
Yeah, you always need that one thing that works for you, and
Yeah.
I love that story. It's like so good.
Well, I can't wait to see what people say, because I'm like,
I
I
mean that
I know.
that was so cool. There's probably somebody else who also did the same, trust me, because if you like something so much, the chances are you will literally want to experience it. So you having to wear your Superman costume under your uniform just shows to say, hey, you are Superman. You believed you're Superman. I mean, look at you now. You are healing people through your music. So
Yeah.
heroes can wear costumes underneath their uniform
And
and
now
nobody
leather jackets.
and now let me
Everything I'm wearing right now is All Saints. So that's kind of
I'm
like
wearing
I
right now
picked a
is All
brand
Saints.
in
So
my
that's kind
20s,
of
and
like
I
I
never
picked a brand.
in my 20s, and I never went back. So it's like my whole, I only have like, I've been made fun of before on countless
Mhm.
occasions for having like the same outfit
Yeah.
in every music video, every performance, but hey, if you don't like it, you can go away.
Trust me, now that you've said this, your check is coming. You made an investment 20 years ago.
I love that. Oh man,
So,
I can't believe I said that on camera. I can't believe this has been a great conversation. It was natural. So
yeah, I love that too. Thank you so much for your time, and I really enjoyed this conversation.
absolutely, thank you.
And maybe we could have you on the show very soon, or maybe later in life. Maybe it will be in person, who knows? But I
I
think
would love to come back.
I think the audience also enjoyed this. And if you are watching, even listening, please do leave a comment, ask questions, and thank you for joining us. And once again, share, like, subscribe so that we can continuously create more of this content. You get to meet awesome people and see awesome people. And one step at a time, one day at a time, let's just continuously self improve. So thank you for tuning in. And thank you so much, Ian. Please tell us, where can people find you? Where can they listen to your music?
Yeah, today we just dropped the radio edit of Traitor, so it's the
Ooh,
shortened version. So you can check that out now on YouTube. But if you want to find everything all in one place, all the socials are on www.orphanprodigy.com. So
okay.
please check it out.
Fantastic. Thank you once again, and hopefully we'll see you soon. That song needs to get to number one.
Yeah, I hope so. And All Saints needs to cut us both a check, because you've been selling me selling the jacket.
I'll wait until you get it first. Then you can just say, oh, Gina, that check is here now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna cut you in. I'm gonna cut you in. Don't worry.